Järgelt kívánok. Hogy vagy? Jó? Hmm. Start of a start of another day on this down under adventure. So, not too much on my mind today, to be quite honest with you. I just woke up and I got I think it was an email or a comment yesterday from Rob that I didn't lose an hour of sleep yesterday. I gained an hour as I turned the clocks back, and just kind of goes to show you where my head was at with that whole thing. Hmm. Rob is just a wealth of information. Hog Day. Every day is the same, and I was talking to one of my colleagues. For those of you that have followed me regularly, my old college professor that I work with. He's like the IT, the chief. I don't know. He's the big wig when it comes to IT at Kendall Jackson Winery out in California. Kendall Jackson, I guess, is this conglomerate of all these different wineries. And he was telling me that for years they've been trying to push this family towards, gearing their operations more for online sales and trying to get away from the tasting rooms. And this coronavirus has pretty much got them away from the tasting rooms. And now they're doing all this online sales. It's interesting that wine, the wine and the pot business have just skyrocketed through all of this. They've just gone through the roof with, with this whole isolation and everything. The other night I was doing dishes, and the host here, the host that where I'm staying, she had left this for me. She left this bottle of wine for me, and as I was doing dishes the other night, this was in the refrigerator when I arrived, and I just stuck it on the shelf. And I look at this differently. I look at this differently than most people would look at this. A lot of people would look at this and say, "Oh, I'll have a glass of wine or something like that." And for me, I look at something like this, and it is 11% alcohol by volume. 11% alcohol. So I look at something like this, and if I were to take this and divide it into 10 equal parts or whatever, that right there, about that right there, it's just pure alcohol. That's the drug. That's the drug right there. And the rest of it is just the rest of it is just the conduit, And I looked at this the other day. I used to be a junkie. I was addicted to this. I was addicted to that little 10% right there. That was my daily fix right there. That was my daily fix. And I had to have it. And I looked at it the other night. I'm washing dishes, a bottle of wine sitting there on the countertop, and I found myself thanking God that 5 years ago or whatever, now 6 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, I found myself thanking the Lord that I beat that, that I beat that fix. As I've gone through life, I've always been challenged by things that are controlling me. It goes all the way back to my adolescence with my mother. I never wanted to be controlled. I don't like to be controlled. And and anytime something's controlled me, it's been a challenge for me. And oftentimes over the years with my vices, be it tobacco, be it marijuana, be it cigars. Well, cigars would be tobacco, but cigars, cigarettes, marijuana, alcohol, all that stuff. Whenever it got to the point that I would ask myself, am I in control of this, or is this in control of me? And going back to the old adage, the pillow knows the truth, whenever I'd lay my head down on the pillow at night, and the pillow would tell me, Tom, the alcohol is controlling you. You're not controlling it. That's when I knew I had a problem, and that's when I would step up my game, so to speak, to try to overcome the vice. Cigarettes were the biggest challenge for me. Cigarettes were, that was the biggest challenge. I can't even tell you how many packs of cigarettes I must have, throughout various attempts of quitting smoking. How many times I went to the garbage can to fish out, cigarettes that I had tossed in there the night before, or how many cigarettes I had just, taken, and packs of cigarettes, and run under running water, just to totally destroy them or what have you. But anyway, I just, it's a struggle. It's not, it's not, addiction is something that we all battle, I think, to one extent or another. And, it's not to take anything away, from those that, those that choose to drink or smoke or anything like that. It's just me personally. I am, I can't imagine what life would be like right now if I was still, self-medicating myself with alcohol at night. I just can't even imagine. But anyway, that wasn't really what was on my mind today. I don't even know how I went down that that topic of discussion. Something else that is interesting is that I often get asked by people, what's it like down there, in this whole crisis? Hi, Mary. In this whole crisis that we're facing, people will ask me, what's it like down there? What's it like? And I tell people that, I say, I said, it's not much different. It's not much different. Why am I never married? Because I don't like to be controlled, More about that in a moment. But anyway, the afraid of being controlled. I'm not afraid. The only thing to fear is fear itself. And there is no, the only thing to fear is fear itself. And I'm not afraid of being controlled. I don't know that I'm necessarily afraid of very much. I'm afraid of getting sick. I'm afraid of some type of a terminal illness or something like that. But afraid, fear, I don't think so. But anyway, so I was talking about people asking me what it's like down here. What's it like down in Australia? And oftentimes, I want to tell people, well, and most of the time that question is posed by those people that are usually back home in the United States. And oftentimes I'll say, well, you know what? It's not a lot different down here than it is there. I mean, everybody is self-isolating. We're self-isolating. Businesses are closed. It's just not a lot different. But fact of the matter is, since I started staying here where I'm staying, and they have cable, I don't know, satellite television or whatever. Usually I have Fox News on being broadcast, from the United States. So, every day I usually have Fox News on. And as I watch, Fox News, I see some pretty horrific stuff happening back home, in New York, and warning about, this is going to be the saddest day of a lot of Americans' lives, or saddest week rather. And you know what? Knock on wood, it's not like that down here. It's not, I don't turn on, when I turn on the news here in Australia, I mean, the topic, it's not like they're talking about, kangaroos and koalas that are recovering from the wildfires. That's not the mainstream news. The mainstream news, or the main topic of the news, of course, is the coronavirus down here. That's dominates the news like it's dominating the news across the globe. But I don't see the horrific images. I don't see all the images that you see on Fox News. I don't see those on the news down here in Australia. And, I called Carlo the other day, or yesterday, I think, and I asked him. I said, Carlo, I said, I don't see the same images. And Carlo, I think that Aussies right now, and I could be mistaken, but I think that Aussies are being cautiously optimistic. If I had to kind of describe the sense that I get down here, is that Aussies are being cautiously optimistic. Most Aussies, the majority of Aussies are being cautiously optimistic, and with more than why, yeah. Anyway, so it kind of goes to the subject, that's been pending these last couple days. Should I get on a flight and go home? Should I stay here? And it's a never-ending discussion. This discussion dates back all the way to, should I have gotten on a plane or should I have not gotten on a plane to come down here? And it's all it's just an ongoing debate, ongoing discussion, and what have you. And the last couple days, or the last 36 hours or so, my attention has been focused on the news of Australia, asking or telling, or however you want to play it, or say it, I should say, asking visitors, if you're not a resident, if you're not a national, you should leave. And I want to go home. At this state, at this point in time, my goal and my intention is to go home. That's been my goal and intention, all along, is to go home. The matter, the question is when to go home, and it's not a matter of how to go home. How to go home is to get on an airplane. I can't imagine getting on a cruise ship, and going home. But anyway, so it's not a question of how to go home as much as it is when to go home. And yesterday I went to the Department of, I don't know what it's called, the Ministry or Immigration or whatever it is, and you read the news, or you read the message, and it's no question what it says. It says that, I think it says international visitors, which I am, international visitors. International visitors should go home, especially those that don't have the ability to support themselves, is what it says. And it's like it's I don't know that it's a play on words, but the word should, if you look up the word should in the dictionary, somebody maybe could help me out. As far as, I wish Alexa was here. I should have brought Alexa with me, but I was too cheap to buy her a ticket, to come down with me. But anyway, you look up the definition. Maybe somebody while I'm chatting can look up the actual definition of the word should. Okay, but the word should is different than the word must. Must go home. International travelers must go home, as opposed to international travelers should go home. It's a play on words, and today, just so there's no, here comes your 50-cent word. Just so there's no, and just, yeah, but if I used to indicate obligation, duty, or correctness. Thank you, Mike. Typically, when criticizing someone's actions, used to indicate obligation. Thank you for the clarification. But today I'm going to call at 9 o'clock. It's Monday morning here. One of the first phone calls I'm going to make this morning is going to be to the Department of Home. I think it's the Department of Home Affairs or whatever it is. I already sent in an email. I sent in an email to the people, to the agency, issued me my 90-day visitor visa, whatever it is you want to call it. I mean, I sent in a message with my passport number and my reference number. And, so I sent that in asking them, for further clarification. And today I'm going to call the Department of Home Affairs. And I'm gonna ask them for a clarification on the word should or must. I'm gonna say, does the fact that it says should, does it buy me a little bit of time, as far as leaving? And I am leaving. Make no doubt about it. I am leaving, and it's just a matter of when. Just a matter of when I leave. And it's, right now as it is, I've got another week and a half basically right here in isolation. I'm not coming in contact with anybody. I'm just sitting here and going on my walk in the evening and what have you. And, I think about getting on a plane. And as I watch the news, I see that this is going to be, this coming week is going to be probably one of the worst, if not the worst week, most of us as Americans have ever faced in our lives. It's going to be the biggest, most challenging week that any of us have faced in our lives. And it's like I asked myself, I was using an analogy yesterday that, if you're out in the open sea and you see, and there's a big storm, there's a big storm going on, are you going to get in a rowboat and try to row over to your ship, from calmer waters, or are you going to wait until the waters calm down a little bit and then get in your rowboat and row over to your ship? And that's kind of how I feel right now. That there's a major storm brewing, and there's a major storm brewing, and do I want to get in my rowboat and row over to the the mothership, so to speak, when the storm is at its worst? And I can't say that I do, to be quite honest. But anyway, we will see, as the saying goes. I'm all about the letter of the law and doing what is required of me. And and what have you. So we'll see how that all plays out. And it's going to be it's going to be a rough week. As I look at I was watching the news this morning, I don't know if it was local or national news here in Australia, but every day the amount of the new cases are going down. And I'm in the state of Victoria, and I don't know how many 1,000 cases or something like that in this state, and I don't know how many deaths, but I think Australia as a whole has something like 30 deaths, and that's 30 deaths too many. But anyway, last night I watched a show, and you can Google this, but I watched a show about you're going to need, yeah. Last night I watched a show about this cruise ship called the Ruby Princess. And without going into a lot of details about it, Australia could have been spared quite a bit of struggle from my understanding of this ship called the Ruby Princess. The Ruby Princess. And it's just baffling. You got to watch this story. Just Google it. Just Google Ruby Princess Australia or something like that. What an unfortunate and disastrous situation for sure. But anyway, so listen. For those of you, what I think I'm going to do, at least in the short term. Okay, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to forego, while I sort through all this stuff, I'm going to forego the morning videos. These daily kitchen chats, these daily morning chats. I'm going to forego the daily chats for a little while. But that's not to say that, for those of you that care about me, that I'm going to take you out of the loop, because I'm not. But I'm just going to be a little bit more conscientious about who I share my plans with, and who I share my status with, and who I, what have you. And I'm going to weed out those of you that tune in just out of curiosity, and those of you that tune in because you care. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask those of you that really care about how I am, those of you that really care about how I am and how I'm doing and all that kind of stuff, I want you to send me an email. Send me an email at Tom, T-O-M, at TMH Design, like Tango Motel Hotel, design.com. Tom at TMHdesign.com. And in the email, I'd like you to tell me who you are, where you are. Okay, so I want to know who you are. I want to know where you are. And just a sentence or two. Just a sentence or two about who you are, or how long you've been watching me, how you found me, whatever. Just send me a little message. Who you are, where you are. And just send me a little message. Send it to Tom at TMHdesign.com. And as those emails come in, I'm going to put you on a mailing list. I'll put you on a mailing list. And I will communicate with you daily, just like I am. Okay? I will put you on I'll communicate with you daily. It may be through I may be sending you a video, such as my morning thought video. I may do videos and just classify them as unlisted, so anybody that gets a link can actually watch the video or what have you. And it's just without going into a lot of details about that whole thing. I just think that that moving forward, at least in the short term, that's how I'm going to communicate. So I may only get I may only get an email from half a dozen of you, or what have you. But I'm gonna just, as the emails come in, I'll just add you to a mailing list, and then every day, maybe I'll call maybe I'll call the mailing list "Those Who Care," and I will just every morning I'll just go ahead and I'll send out an email, to those who care. But anyway, so that's about it. It's time to settle down for a day's work. I still have the better part of whether or not I could be on a plane tomorrow for all I know. But that aside, that consideration aside, I still have 10 days here. I still have 10 days, and every night I'm going out on my walk through the neighborhood. Every day, every time I go out on my walk, I notice something different. And just going out on my walk, it's a beautiful community, Mount Eliza. It really is a beautiful, beautiful community. Yeah, 477. But a lot of those deaths and a lot of those deaths in New Orleans, I was reading about that. They go to the fact that a lot of those deaths go to the fact that I'm not even gonna go down there. But you see where that guy, that gentleman who kicked the longest field goal in NFL history, I think his name was Dempsey. He was missing toes and part of a hand or something like that. What a sad way, such a man of such history, to lose his life to coronavirus. I saw that in the news yesterday, and there's no difference between him losing his life and somebody else losing his life. But anyway, I got to tell you, there's somebody that's been another interesting aspect of this whole crisis thing, this whole coronavirus situation, is it really goes to you see these people coming out. It's all about Republican, Democrat, liberal, liberal, conservative, all stuff, all this divisive stuff. And the last thing that we need, the last thing we should be focusing, on coming together. That's what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on coming together and finding common ground, so to speak, as opposed to, pointing fingers at blue states and red states and Democrats and conservatives and it's all that stuff, all that stuff, blue and red and left and right and all that type of stuff. Politics very much like religion. It just serves, the politics, politics and religion. It just serves to divide us. And in times like this, we need to overcome those visions and bridge the gaps and work together. That is you know, if we're going to get through this, and we will get through this situation, okay? If we're going to get through a situation, a lot easier if we find common ground and we learn to work together and we learn to, overlook our differences with one another, and and find a way to, to work together side by side, for the common good of us all. Um, so, those of you out there that have this tendency to distinguish, left and right, left and right, and all this stuff, just stop it. Stop it, and let's find a way to get through all this. So anyway, again, for the time being, this will be my last morning thought, at least publicly. So those of you that really care, send an email to Tom, at emh.tango-motel-hotel-design.com, and in the subject line, just put "I care." I care, we care, something like that. All right. So anyway, take take good care, everyone. Have a great day.